This is the plaintiff, Donna Burks. She says the defendant is her deceased brother's fiancée, and she refuses to return her brother's belongings to the family. This woman has some nerve stealing what's rightfully hers, and she's here suing for the $2,722.67 she's owed. This is the defendant, Raina Stevens. She says the plaintiff's brother told her he wanted her to have everything of his if something were to happen to him before he passed from COVID. The plaintiff has treated her like a dog ever since. She isn't entitled to her fiancé's belongings, and she owes this woman nothing but a curt good riddance after this trial. She's accused of splitting up the family. The defendant has filed a countersuit for $4,865 for things the plaintiff stole from her fiancé's car.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case in the docket. The plaintiff claims the defendant stole her deceased brother's belongings and won't give them back. But the defendant says the plaintiff has treated her like a dog and isn't the one entitled to her fiancé's belongings, and she will prove it in court. It's the case of stealing blind from the family.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome.
Okay, Ms. Burks and Ms. Stevens, first of all, I wanted to tell you that I'm very, very sorry for your loss. Ms. Stevens, you lost your boyfriend, and Ms. Burks, that was your brother. So tell me what brings you to court today.
Well, my brother had been in a relationship with Raina for a little over 3.5 years, and they were engaged to be married around his birthday of April 28th of last year. But the wedding was called off.
Because of COVID? Or because they didn't get along?
There were various reasons why the wedding was called off.
Okay. Well, were they living together?
Yes, they were.
And they continued to live together?
Yes, they did.
Okay, go ahead.
As the summer went along, my brother would continue to tell me about issues that was aggravating him and frustrating him with Raina.
Such as?
Regarding the fact that she has a very bad gambling habit. She loves to buy scratch-off tickets, and she loves to go to the casino. And I know that he said that her salary was twice what he made or what he received in Social Security. So they would try and split the bills evenly. But as the summer went along, he would continually tell me how aggravated and frustrated he was with the habit she had of smoking. He would ask her to stop, but she picked that up more, and then she picked up another substance habit that he did not like, and she seemed to do that even more and more. He didn't like it. He just tried to tolerate it.
What substance?
Marijuana.
When did your brother get sick?
In the middle of December.
How old was your brother?
He was 73.
Okay.
And during the summer, again, as I said, he would continue to tell me about how frustrated and aggravated he would be with Raina regarding how she just couldn't hold on to money, how he had gave her an engagement ring, and he said that she told him that she lost it. He said he didn't believe it. He said that she either sold it or pawned it. And that sometimes he tried to get her.
Do you know how your brother got COVID?
Money. He said, and I quote, "I blame Raina for this. She did this to me because she would not stay in. Because she kept going out selling CDs and DVDs all the time." And he said, "Why are you doing this? You have a good paying job at the post office."
All right, so you have a lawsuit here today because when your brother went into the hospital, rent was due. And what did your brother ask you to do?
He told me to take $500 off of his debit card, which I did. The next day, December 29th, I asked Raina, I said, "Are you going to have your half of the rent?" After I spoke to property management and asked them how much the rent would be, they said it would be $860. So with taking $500 off of Tony's debit card, she would owe $360. So then I called her January 3rd and told her how much the rent would be. I said, "Do you have it?" And she said, no, I don't have it. So I didn't bother to ask why. I just assumed I knew why. So I told her, I will go ahead and pay your half of the rent for you, and then you can pay me back. And she said,
Well, it's
okay.
not quite half, but so she agreed to repay you the $362.12.
Yes.
Okay. And did she ever repay you that?
No.
When did your brother pass?
He passed January 7th. I had spoken to him on January 5th because he had called me and asked me had I paid the bills. I said, yes, I paid the rent. I paid your phone bill. I paid the insurance. But I said, Raina didn't have her half of the rent, so I paid it for her. And then he said, I blame Raina for this. She did this to me because she wouldn't stay in. And he said, if God brings me through this, I am done. I am done with Raina. And I told him, I said,
I don't think he
okay,
has any
Tony.
right to blame Raina. I don't think anybody has any
Well,
right to blame Raina. Maybe she should have been more careful, but the person with the health issue should have been really, really careful. And if the person he's living with isn't careful, then that person doesn't get to live with him anymore. That's all. Period. End of story. Each one of us are responsible for our own health. And if we don't take it into our hands, we cannot turn around and blame, you gave it to me. Okay? But I don't put myself in the situation where someone can give it to me. Raina, let me talk to you a second. How long were you dating him?
Tony and I were dating for 3 years.
Okay. Did you know that he had these health issues? The blood pressure?
I did. Yes, I was aware.
And was he going out too?
Yes, he was. He would go to the store. He would go to get him things at the restaurant. I mean, he was out. He stayed in as well, but he did make his way out. He could have caught COVID anywhere.
Okay. So according to Ms. Burks, she loaned you $362.12 for the January rent. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay. Why did you hesitate? You feel like you shouldn't have to pay it? Why?
I feel like I shouldn't have to pay it just because how the whole situation unraveled. Miss Burke, I didn't know she could be like she is. Our family really shows herself after another family member passed.
Oh, what happened?
A lot of stuff unraveled that didn't have to go the way it did.
Such as?
Such as 2 days before the funeral, she wanted to come in with Tony's daughter and rip all this furniture out of the house and go through and pack up everything. She didn't have any consideration for me at the time. It was the timing that she did everything. It was inconsiderate. These items that she asked for, Tony told me before he passed that he told Donnie that he gave everything to me. He told me that. We were sitting there on the couch. He has no right to them. But she wanted to come in and rip them. I mean, it's just crazy.
Okay. Can I ask you folks something? Did Tony have a will?
No.
Ms. Burke,
did
did
not
Tony
have
have
a
a will?
will.
Okay. And Ms.
He did not
Stevens,
have a power of attorney.
did Tony have a will that you knew of?
He didn't have one that I knew of.
Okay, all right. So now Ms. Burke, you're suing for a bedroom set and a dining room set. Tell me about that.
Well, Raina's daughter was staying with them, and she was pregnant, and she was sleeping on an air mattress on the floor. And he had asked me if I could buy a bedroom suit for her. And he said that he would pay me back when the second stimulus check came out. So I purchased the bedroom suit for him. I told Raina about it in January. And I told her about my mother's dining room set that had been in our family since 1975. We have a lot of family memories around that table. And I asked her for it.
And what did she say?
She said she would think about it.
Okay.
I told her that his son wants his hats and his ties. His son wants to wear his ties to church. I said that his other son, Mark, wants his jewelry. And then she snapped back at me. He didn't have any jewelry. Now, as a family, we knew he always had jewelry. He loved jewelry. And I said, Raina, I am only repeating what his son said. He would like his jewelry. And she said, like I said, he didn't have any jewelry. I said, okay, Raina.
Okay. Let me ask you, Ms. Stevens, you have a counterclaim for $4,865. Tell me what that's about. What does she have that you believe you're owed money for? Go ahead.
The receipt. Tony, when he passed, he had on some jewelry that was on his wrist. A necklace. He had a bracelet. He had a ring. His sweatsuit. She has possession of his vehicle. I want my birth certificates back. Things are in the vehicle. That's what I countersued for.
Okay, and you're suing for the vehicle. You want the vehicle given to you, right? The vehicle's registered to Tony, correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay. What are your personal items that were in the car? Your birth certificate and what else?
For sure, my birth certificate, my social security card, my tackle box, my fishing poles, just various items. I never got to clear out the car.
Is there anything that's inside? Well, how did the car get taken, Ms. Burks? How did that happen?
Back around December 15th, he came over to the house. He looked real weak and wobbly, and I asked him, what's wrong? And he said he hadn't eaten or had any medications for 3 days. I said, okay, Tony, I'll take you to get some food and get some medication because you look like you're not really strong enough to really
How do you
drive.
end up with the car? I need to know how you end up with the car. Did you keep the car that night?
Yes, I kept the car, and I told him, I'll take you shopping, and then I'll take you back home.
So you kept the car, and my question to you is, did you find anything that was clearly personal to her, like a birth certificate, a social security card, or anything like that
Yes.
in the car? Where is that stuff right now?
It is currently in my possession.
Okay, I am giving you a direct order, and we will take care of this after court today for you to return that stuff, which clearly can have your brother didn't own, like her social security card or birth certificate. Anything that has her name on it goes to her. There is no reason for you to be keeping that.
I have no problem with that.
But you haven't, and you never did give it back to her, so apparently you might have a problem with it. But here's where we are, folks. I have two people, each of whom believe that they can come to court. One of them can get $2,700 by saying, trust me. Tony's last words were he wants us to have everything. And the other one who thinks she can come to court and get $4,800 by saying, trust me. Tony said he wanted to leave everything to me. With all due respect, ladies, that's not how the law works. If Tony wanted to leave his stuff anywhere, Tony needed to leave his stuff somewhere. Tony needed to write a will. Tony didn't write a will, as far as any of us know. When that is called dying intestate, without a will. When somebody dies intestate without a will, what has to happen is that the next of kin and or somebody else goes to court and asks probate court to appoint them executor of his estate. Okay? Now, lots of times the estate is small and it's not worth going through all that trouble. That's a personal decision you folks make. But if not, what ends up happening is that whatever's there is going to stay there and whatever's on that side is going to stay on that side. But if you want to be put in charge of an estate, you have to petition the probate court to name you the executor, okay? But this is not where this gets resolved, because really the sister isn't going to be the next of kin. The children are going to be the next of kin. That would be the way the law would distribute his stuff, is to give it to the sons or daughters or whatever, and in equal parts, which I am not equipped to do because they're not even in this courtroom. That's why all of this has to go to probate court, with the exception of one thing, which is that January rent loan that is personal between you and her. And a second thing, the
Your
personal
Honor.
documents that you have that I'm ordering you to return. Yes, Ms. Burks, what were you going to ask me?
I was going to say that, yes, I have looked into it. I've spoken with probate
Okay.
attorneys, and they stated that
Good.
if I became the executrix, I would also have to take on his debt. And I knew that he had a lot
Well,
of
you would,
hospital bills.
hold on one second. You would not have to take on his debt. You would have to take on managing his debt, not You don't have to dip into your pocket to pay his debts at all. You would have to look at his estate, and then all the people who want their chunk, the hospital, they would get paid. So there it might not be worth it. I'm just explaining to you that you will not get $2,000 here, and I'm not going to divvy up the bedroom set. I know I am more convenient to sue here, ladies, but this is not where it gets resolved. So if it's not worth going to probate court, so be it. Then everything just kind of stays where it is. The car stays where whoever has possession, the bedroom stays with whoever has possession, because if you can't work it out, then you have to go to probate court. Ms. Stevens, I am ordering you to repay the loan. The fact that you're upset with how the family's treating you does not mean that you don't have to pay back a loan that was clearly a loan. So I am ruling in favor of the plaintiff in the amount of $362.12. Also, Ms. Burks, I am ordering you to return her personal paperwork, and you will not get the $362.12 until you have handed over the personal paperwork. The birth certificate, social security card, anything that's personal. Now, I know she's saying, well, that's my tackle box. Well, you don't know if it's hers or his. I'm not talking about that kind of stuff. That kind of stuff has to go to probate court. I'm talking about stuff that is clearly not his, like her birth certificate and her social security card, okay? That is my order. Good luck to all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So the judge has made her decision. Many of the issues in this case really are more appropriate for a different court, probate court. Ms. Stevens, the judge has said you've got to give her back that $360 that was a loan to you, and she, on the other hand, has to give you back your social security card and other personal items. Okay?
Yes.
Thumbs up. Okay, good enough. All right, Ms. Burks, you understand what happens? And you understand also that you can go to probate court, but you won't be liable yourself to pay your brother's debts. The judge cleared that up for you?
Yeah, she mentioned it. The probate attorney said that basically they would like to collect their debts, and they would probably collect it by starting with his furniture, his assets. And I said, well, that really nullifies what I was trying to come to court for, because we're trying to keep his assets. And they said whatever is left over, that the executrix would be responsible for paying the rest of his debt.
Well, then you're going to have to decide what to do. If you don't go to court, you obviously are not going to get that bedroom set back. I don't know how important it is to you. All right, thank you very much. And that'll do it for this case. Let's see what Harvey has to say now.
Okay, Doug, here's the thing about small claims courts. In almost all of our states, small claims court judges don't have the power to return property to the rightful owner. The only thing they can do is give money. Now, if it's in a bigger court, like a superior court, say in California, in a situation like that, they can order return. Small claims court, the only justice you can get is loot.
Hey, judges, my neighbor's dog comes charging at me when I leave my house and has even bitten me once. I've spoken to my neighbors about it, but the problem still persists. What should I sue them for? Thanks, Greg.
Greg, you can sue them for certainly the previous dog bite if it's still within the statute of limitations period. We don't really have details about the bite, but I'd be interested to know, is this dog trespassing on your property when it's rushing at you every day or as often as it does? Is it getting loose from a fenced-in yard next door? What kind of dog is it? People have been charged with assault or battery with a deadly weapon for dog attacks in certain places.
You mean if the neighbor's doing it deliberately?
Right.
It's usually negligence, and they don't care that their dog is roaming.
Exactly. What do you think? Are there other things that
I think that you video the loose dog and call animal control and the police every single time the dog is loose. Now, you may not have warning that the dog is loose. The dog may be getting loose as soon as it sees dinner. And you're at dinner. So I don't know, but you're well within your rights to defend yourself. I hate to say that, I'm a dog lover, but you don't have to be terrorized by the neighbor's dog. But the wisest thing to do is to have, one of those cameras that show that how often the neighbor's dog is loose, and call animal control and try to get the situation under control.